Hey there, All Souls. Here with the one and only Jim Alcorn. Hey, Jim.
Hey, Will.
For those of you who are OGs here at All Souls, you know this guy. And for those of you who are newer, you will get to know him. Jim's been with us for how many years now?
Almost 7 years.
Almost 7 years. So right when we moved into this building, right?
Yeah.
And Jim's lovely wife, Judith, is a wonder and a gift as well. For those of you who've had the chance to meet her, she teaches, right?
Yes. She teaches in the city.
Okay.
High school.
High school. Wow. Wow. Yeah, she's brave.
Yeah, absolutely. More than me.
So why am I sitting here with Jim, and why are we interacting here for you? Well, because as many of you have been praying, we've been praying for a director of our mercy ministry, and God put it on our hearts to reach out to Jim. And just a little background story as to how even this went down, which is crazy. I didn't even tell you this, but as we were praying and the Lord was putting Jim on our hearts, one of the things that confirmed that Jim was the right person for this role was we had a family that was in the hospital and someone in their family was dying. And it just so happened that Jim had just taken a role as a chaplain in that hospital, and came and cared for that family, and then met me even at the hospital, and we got to care together. And it was just such sweet confirmation of what God was calling us to do and to believe that he was doing in terms of us co-laboring together for the sake of the gospel. So Jim, I just love for everyone to hear from you a little bit about, how you got to this point. What's your training? What are you doing now? What's your background? Where's your heart?
Thanks, Will. Thanks for the opportunity. And thank you to All Souls. Like Will said, I've been here almost 7 years and have been part of discipleship groups and leading a disciple group. And it's been a great experience to get to know other people, all about relationship. As Will also said, that I've taken on a job as a chaplain at Valley Hospital, and also about to take on a second position working with their hospice, visiting homes and people in their homes. So I'm really looking forward to that. And timing has been everything. Like Will said, we met up in the hospital. It just so happened that those were the first 2 days of my work at that hospital.
Crazy. It's so crazy.
And prior to that, I was doing a residency, a year-long residency at Westchester Medical Center, and before that at Allen Hospital in the city. But to take you way back, I became a Christian just when I was 12 years old, and was always involved in the youth group, involved in ministry, felt God calling me into ministry. Ended up coming to Nyack College. That's how I found out about Rockland County.
Wow.
And that's going back a few years. Then I went from there and pastored a church in Brooklyn. Went back to seminary, got an MDiv at Alliance Theological Seminary when everything was still here in Nyack. And from then on, after all that, worked at the New York Bible Society for a couple of years, and then full-time for about 23 years in photojournalism.
Which makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
You're MDiv, so you can go take pictures for a newspaper.
It's a natural progression. So I did that, but really believe that was part of my training. As far as full-time ministry goes, doesn't mean you're just working in full-time ministry as a paid position somewhere and you're just a pastor. Not just a pastor. So you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But full-time ministry is wherever you are.
Amen.
Whatever you're doing helps to provide for that.
That's
so
right.
that full-time ministry became ministering to people that I had photographed, or ministering to people. One of my favorite parts about that job was we hung out and did a lot of stakeouts, but I hung out with a lot of other people. A lot of opportunities to minister who Jesus Christ is in my life and who he could be in theirs. So God has been preparing me all along the way.
So you shared a story with me earlier today, actually, about how your work, actually taking pictures of homicides, prepared you for what you're about to walk into at Westchester. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. My first 3 years at the New York Post, and I was trying to make a name for myself in a sense, was to go to almost every homicide in Brooklyn, to the point where I would show up and end up seeing the same cops. And they're kind of looking at me like, you show up here all the time, what's going on? And I really believe that seeing all the trauma that was going on there allowed me not to desensitize, but to look at that without it affecting me adversely, and to look beyond it to see what the situation was. Fast forward 25 years, here I am at Westchester Medical Center working in the trauma room where someone would come off of the helicopter after having been in a horrible accident or other times worse. Coming into the trauma room, and I entered the trauma room with them. And as the doctors worked on them, often I would hold their hands, and if they were still awake and alert, I would talk to them. If they weren't, I could pray for them there, but then also step out and talk with their families who were also traumatized by the whole thing. So I really believe that God prepares us and uses us at the same time.
Well, Jim, that is an excellent word, and I'm so glad we got to share that with our All Souls family today. Because friends, what you're hearing in Jim's story is what is true for all of us, right? That God is actually working in us to prepare us for the good things He has planned in advance for us to walk in. That's Ephesians 2. Even if that walking is 20 years down the road. And the question for us today, even as we're celebrating God's faithfulness in the face of this, our brother Jim, the question and encouragement to you is to realize, like, God is doing that in your life right now. Whatever situation He has you in, whether it's a struggle or a joy, He is preparing you for what's coming up next. And we want to encourage you, friends, that part of that is an answer to our prayers, because we've not been praying for Jim to come and be a part of this because we want to do acts of mercy. We've been praying that God would bring the right person for this role so that we can be a church that is merciful.
Amen.
Merciful in all that we do, that we have a heart, the heart of God, the eyes of God, and the hands of God. And so that doesn't just happen by us coming to church on Sundays and worshiping. That's a huge part of it. But the rest of that is us then living out of that with the rest of our lives, so that on Monday through Saturday, we're actually acting with hearts of mercy, hearts that overflow with the heart of the Father. And so the encouragement, again, friends, is God's already preparing you for these opportunities to share and to lean into and to care for the people around you, even in the struggles and the joys that you're in today. And I hope you have eyes to see that. We're praying that you have eyes to see that this day, even as we invite you to celebrate God's faithfulness in the face of this guy, Jim Alcorn, our new Mercy Director. Welcome, Jim. We're glad to have you.
Great to be here. God bless you all.
God bless, friends.